is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
To return some videotapes. 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 Videotapes.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Strange Glow Video on the Ectoviolence channel. I'm one of your hosts, Alec, and that's Decaying Pumpkin 3 weeks after Halloween down there is Justin.
Decaying pumpkin. All right, whatever.
No, it's just funny. It's a line I actually used to describe myself in one of my song lyrics recently, you know what I mean? What aging feels like.
I mean, yeah, I get it.
It's brutal.
I get it. So, yeah, new week, new show. We're going to talk some Jurassic Park this week.
Yeah.
The original trilogy.
Yes, of course. I've actually done quite a few videos on these. The only one I haven't watched recently is Jurassic Park 3, but I did a video on that previously as well, so there's been some, like, quicker chats about it, but nothing like an engaging conversation within what happens in these movies or our mutual experiences with them, because I'm sure you're old enough to remember seeing this movie. This is a movie we owned on VHS. It came out when I was 2 years old. This is one that I don't remember watching for the first time, so at least the first one.
I don't remember watching the first one for the first time either. I don't think I saw it in theaters, but I remember the toy craze because I remember going to like birthday parties where people had the compound and command center and everything else. By the time The Lost World came out, I saw that in theaters opening weekend. Same thing with Jurassic Park 3. So
now here's the thing about Lost World Jurassic Park. I remember seeing it in theaters, but I remember seeing it in like a rinky-dink theater, like a dollar theater in like Iowa or Nebraska or somewhere.
Interesting. Okay.
That's my recollection of it, and I don't know if that's even accurate necessarily. But like that memory is tied in with also buying a bunch of the Jurassic Park toys. Like I remember specifically we were on a trip to Nebraska at Granny's house.
Mm-hmm.
And we bought a bunch of toys on that trip. I don't know if they were on sale or they were just, it's what was up.
We found them at a Walmart up there, and they had a bunch of. Well, the crazy thing was, like, I'd found the toys like right before the movie came out, so I think I'd snagged Ian Malcolm with his glider pack for The Lost World before the movie released, or the opening weekend, right? You know,
Yeah,
because we're always like hip to catching those things and getting them before the movie, and obviously, they're a lot better about doing that now. It seems like the toys come out like a month or two before the movie nowadays. But back then, they were a little bit closer to the release timing, just as far as a better marketing tie-in and things like that.
the internet changed everything. That's why I feel like it's got to be a little earlier.
Yeah, for sure. And so they didn't have the full toy line out then, and then this toy line got gigantic. With they had the Humvee, they had all the different vehicles from capturing the dinosaurs from the Lost World, and then they even did some pretty clever re-releases of original Jurassic Park stuff with new color schemes, and some kind of generic figures.
Yeah,
Which is interesting because they very much advertised that early on, but they never actually quite released those. Like there's a bunch of stuff on like the Dino Trackers figures on the back of those that Mattel has gone on to recreate some of those looks for toys that were never released, which is very fucking clever on their part. You know, you take the toy line that was teased, even though it was just repaints at the time, you take those repaint color schemes and make their own toy line from it. So
yeah.
now I don't know how successful that was based on the cost of them releasing that, but yeah, Jurassic Park had some good action figures, man.
Yeah, it wasn't buying those kind of toys by the time Jurassic Park 3 came out anymore or anything, but they did make an interesting toy line for it. I've seen some of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting looking, just considering I wasn't really looking for them even at that time, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, didn't even occur to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, by the time, let's see, when did this come out?
93,
When did
97, 2001.
2001. Okay. So Jurassic Park 3 came out after, or maybe around the time I was done working at Toys R Us. I feel like it came out after. Anyway, but I remember like the Toys R Us line of Jurassic Park toys they had were the Chaos Theory. They're like this really crazy like action figure line that was just kind of like a fill the gap between movies.
Hmm.
And so they had some crazy color schemes and things like that and like hybrid figures they released. And they were selling those. And I think those were, if my memory is correct, I believe those were prior to Jurassic Park 3, but after The Lost World.
That would make sense. Yeah, they've done some interesting things with the toy line since, but let's see. As far as Jurassic Park goes, there's a lot of merchandise out there that I would like to get for the original, just like vintage kind of stuff. Just because the marketing is so beautiful. Like I have a few of the McDonald's cups, for example.
Yeah. Those are cool, man.
Andrew Bayless is in the chat. Hey guys, what's going on, dude? Good to
Hey,
see
man,
you.
how you doing?
Well, not see you, but
Hear
from you. Not even hear from you. Good to read you.
Yeah. What's today? Today's Ghostbusters 2's anniversary, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
That's why I got threw one of my shirts on.
Oh,
See all the goodies over there in the display.
I got my Twilight shirt on, so.
Nice. Very nice.
Oops.
Yeah, so that first Jurassic Park, man, I don't ever remember seeing the movie for the first time. But once I did see it, I remember like I immediately read the book. And the first Jurassic Park figures, because I got in Jurassic Park way late for considering all the kids around me were way into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first Jurassic Park toy I ever bought was a dino tracker, the dude with the backwards hat. I can't remember which one that is.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, though. He's wearing he's like shirtless with a vest and shorts.
Yeah. Yep. Came with a baby brachiosaur. Yeah.
That's kind of a dope figure, though. I mean, just because it's iconic. I remember growing up with that around the house, too.
Yeah. Now, so for me, like they had those, and then I didn't have any of the original wave. Like those were all done and sold out in stores by then. So instead of just re-releasing more of those, they did some different paint jobs. So like I had Robert Muldoon, but I had him in the black and green.
Yeah.
Which I like that color scheme better, but it's not movie accurate, so whatever.
Yeah. I later got some of the original line of the Jurassic Park toys. I still have them. I have the green, fucking, what is that, a Jeep something? Not the actual Jeep, but is the other one a Jeep brand as well?
No, so in the movie,
called?
they're in the book they're Land Rovers, but it's actually a Ford Explorer.
Okay, that's right. So basically the Explorer.
Though. Yeah, the customized Ford Explorer because they top the roofs on them to get that like viewing lid on them.
Sick though. But yeah, I have the original version of that, and then I have basically Ellie, Grant, and Malcolm, and I think Nedry.
Yeah.
But those are pretty cool.
I got an original Nedry release sometime during COVID. Like that was one of my eBay buys at the time.
Yeah.
So, but that first movie is so iconic and it's so good. But I remember like after seeing that summer when I started buying Jurassic Park toys, and it must have been the second summer the movie was out, by the time would have been the summer of 94, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Is when I started getting stuff.
I
also got the book and then I read it then too. So
I think this is one of those movies, the two that got re-released again the next year. Like
probably so.
They've released this movie in theaters actually quite a bit. Like it's it's gross, keeps going up. It's theater gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing the second in theaters, and I remember even more vividly the third, because it was just like an afternoon. It was just me, Dad, and one of our sisters went to see it at One of the theaters that I can't even remember where it is. It probably still exists. Ironically, I remember seeing Twister there as well, but it wasn't a theater in Olathe. So it wasn't the Dickinson, it wasn't the AMC there. It was
So there was briefly a Dickinson. So they had an East Glen and a West Glen. The East Glen.
It was like right off of a highway, and it was almost like looked like it's sort of in a canyony area, you know what I mean? With just like rocks on the sides. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's more developed since then. That's the same theater we saw Twister at.
That's what I'm
opening
saying.
weekend.
Exactly. Twister. I remember
Yeah.
seeing Twister and Jurassic Park 3 there specifically.
Yeah, that was a Dickinson theaters at the time. Now it's B&B theaters, but that was the Dickinson West Glen 16 or something like that. And they did an East Glen 12, which like turned into an exercise place for a while, and I think that's completely out of business, but one of those things, man. Yeah, I remember the theater history around here very well.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I was, not to get too off track, but apparently there was another twin drive-in in Olathe in the like 70s.
Yeah, so
That's crazy.
the screen was still up there for a brief period of time when I was going to the elementary school there. Like I can go back and look at my old yearbooks and you can see like behind the playground where the screen was for that.
Damn.
So, and the crazy thing is that where that twin drive-in in Olathe is where the AMC 28 is now.
Oh, that's funny.
Like that's where they built that, and there's apartments there too. So like I remember because we used to go play in that field when I was a kid. It was by the creek behind the neighborhood, and for the longest time there's still a ton of gravel that just got overgrown back there before they developed all that land.
Yeah,
from the gravel from the twin theaters. Yeah, drive-in. So
Andrew says,
cool stuff.
I'm interested in the. I guess I should share this chat with you. Hold on.
Yeah, let me read, man.
It's relevant here. Where is this option? Here it is. All right, you should be seeing it now.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Yep. That's one of the main reasons I am huge into physical media is because they've got all the full sound mixes on there.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, if you have 4K and you have all of that with the sound, what's to stop you from playing this in your own movie theater? Nothing. A projector? A high-quality projector.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I'm collecting some 4Ks, because I'm like, what if I ever have... I'm planning on making a theater room eventually, basically where I have optimal sound and picture and can just screen my own fucking films in my basement with the nicest quality that I can get, basically. And that sounds great, because I don't have Jurassic Park on 4K yet, because I've heard mixed things on them. I have them all. I have the first 5 on Blu-ray. I don't have Dominion. I just never was like, I need to grab that.
Yeah, so the only one of the second trilogy I ever picked up was the first Jurassic World. The other 2 I never picked up, even though I've seen them like really cheap on Blu-ray and stuff.
I picked them all up in like one of the sets that they, you know how they always update the sets. So it was like a Blu-ray pack that included 1 through 5. So
okay, yeah, but the original 4K. So how this new Trilogy Steelbook looks. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that out, because if they've got upgraded sound on there, that's going to be worth it.
Yeah. I actually have Small Soldiers 4K Steelbook pre-ordered for next month.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Because I don't have that on 4K or anything, or Blu-ray. I just got a DVD and a VHS. So
yeah.
That'd be fun. Big fan of that one. Yeah, I just also picked up a Blu-ray Steelbook of the original It miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
It was at Vintage Stock. It was a Best Buy exclusive back in the day, and I only had it on DVD, so I was like, yeah, sure. I'm not like crazy about Steelbooks, but if it's like a right price, and I don't really care if it's a Steelbook or not. If the art's cool,
yeah,
and it's something I want. Oh, cats are.
So as we're talking about this first Jurassic Park trilogy, so this is the first time I've really watched this full trilogy back to back in a pretty short time span like this.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the third one holds up pretty solid, right? You know, you've done your own apology video or people need to apologize to Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park 3 is a fun movie. It's an entertaining movie. There's some very good stuff in there.
It has what it has going for it is Grant as the character, and he portrays it well, honestly. And I think he's written fairly well. I think I have no issues with him as a character. Everything else, all the issues come from other stuff. But
after rewatching these, my biggest issue is the score, I think.
That's funny.
John Williams did not compose this. He was busy working on artificial intelligence. And so he suggested Don Davis. And Don Davis, I have nothing against him or his score per se, but there's stuff where his cues just don't tie in. Like when I watched The Lost World earlier.
The Lost World score, that is a fucking score because it is iconic in its own right, separate from Jurassic Park.
Yes, like there's some cues that tie back to Jurassic Park in there, but it's very much its own score.
It has its own theme. It has like the bum, 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 all that shit.
And like the most recognizable music from Jurassic Park 3 is the cues back to John Williams.
Yeah.
And to me, like that was pretty disappointing just having watched it again and been paying attention for this. Now, visually speaking, it's beautiful. The dinosaurs look great, especially right when you think of the first Jurassic Park. A lot of it is night shots or dark shots and things like that. Especially the T-Rex scene, it's all shot in an alleged night scene.
The only thing I can criticize in the original Jurassic Park, unless you go frame by frame, like you can frame by frame see some mess ups with CGI and layering and stuff that people have pointed out to me, and I'm just like, I don't care about that as much. Is the motion blur works for most things that they did in that. Yeah. The worst looking thing is the Gallimimus scene. The Gallimimus, like, they look a little CG, but like.
And I think that was the compositing and layering there with the bright daylight scene.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. But by the time they get to Jurassic Park 3, the rendering and everything is so good during those daylight sequences. Like, everything looks great. And then, they're still using puppetry, so much of that. Like, the Spinosaur puppet looks so good.
If you've watched the special, like, behind the scenes, like features on the Jurassic Park 3 specifically, you can see how big that goddamn animatronic is. Like, that's one of the biggest ones they ever made too. Like, it's ridiculous. And I know that Spinosaurus wasn't exactly accurate, but like, that is a sick dinosaur. It makes this movie. It makes the movie, and the problem is they tried to keep capitalizing on that with like the Indominus Rex and shit, like making something newer and bigger. And it's like, we don't need that every time. You can just tell a different story with the same dinosaurs, or introduce some more dinosaurs that actually exist. I understand, like, oh, but it's monsters and genetic engineering, and we want to tell that story, but like.
Well, there's a fine line because, I'm going to a dinosaur movie because of dinosaurs. If I just want to see a monster movie, I'm going to go to a kaiju movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think there's genres for all these things to fit in there more copacetically for each of their own genres.
Yeah. At this point, I would have just been, and I'm not even being sarcastic when I say this, so take that into mind. I'd rather see just the Fast and Furious saga merge with Jurassic Park at this point than just another one of these movies. Although David Koepp is returning as the screenwriter, so that's cool. We like that. He wrote the first two, the best two. And he got eaten by a dinosaur in 2 as well. He's the guy outside the store that just gets like picked up and eaten by the T-Rex in the street. Like
in San Diego, yeah.
Yeah, he's credited as unlucky bastard.
That's awesome.
I had to look into all this because I ranked the deaths from that movie, and I was like, oh, that's David Koepp. That's cool.
The crazy thing is, and they're still doing this for Jurassic Park or Jurassic World Rebirth, is they're still pulling shit from the first 2 books that didn't make the movies.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what's fascinating about it. So, like, when
I'm all for that.
I wanted to rewatch or reread Jurassic Park, but I'm pretty busy, so I'm actually giving an audiobook a listen to it this time just to kind of see how that is. and I found one on the Internet Archive
Sick.
for free, and it's I think one of the first releases on there. It's not the one you can buy like on Apple Music or on everything right now. It's a different reader, and it's good. It's very good.
Yeah.
So when I'm watching that, I mean, if you haven't read the books, and I always say this about this, anytime we talk about the franchise, go read these books because they're so fucking good. So the sequence that starts Jurassic World, or not Jurassic World, but the Lost World, is basically lifted from the first book,
Yeah.
except they drive to the beach and it's on Costa Rica land. And like there's this whole investigation going on because of dinosaurs getting off on the boat that's going to the shore.
Yeah, I
It's
remember there's
taxiing
like
people
one
back
where
and
there's
forth.
like a baby that's gone missing and shit.
Yeah, the compies are eating babies, basically attacking babies. And that's why you get that compy attack in the second movie to open it. Well, we found Site B. Okay, that's a clever way to do it. But that sequence is basically lifted from the first book. And then
Yeah.
Jurassic Park 3, the big sequence that's lifted from the book is the pterodactyl cage, the bird cage, the whole piece there. That's all lifted from the first.
And people say that the riverboat scene is sort of an homage, at least, to the original. It's not the same, but
It's lifted loosely because in the first one there's a river raft scene,
yeah.
which has been spoiled hardcore in all of the Andrew Bayless said he got those re-release, or not re-releases, but those art editions that they did at Jurassic Park in the Lost World here in the last couple of years that are like really high end collector's edition. So that's awesome. I never picked those up just because I didn't want to spend the money on them, but
Yeah.
if I find them, I will.
I have a first edition of the second book, and I have a just like a movie printed version, that come out when they, like a trade paperback, when they make the movie, they print those. So that's what I have for books.
Yeah. So I have my paperback copies of both books I bought as a kid, and then I was at one of the used bookstores around here. They had Jurassic Park and The Lost World, both first edition printings for like $5 each. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm getting these in the collection.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you'd be surprised how cheap some first editions are if it was a really popular book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a first edition copy of It. That's in really good condition. Well, not really good condition, but it's like, it has the fucking slipcover and everything. And I'm like, that's one of my favorite books in the collection just because it was only like $20 for that. Like, well, that's not out of pocket for that big and quality of a book anyway.
Yeah, and the crazy thing was, like, even for The Lost World, I read the trade paperback of that because The Lost World, the book came out in 1995. Obviously, the movie came out in 97. And back then, we get that Ghostbusters 2 reference. You're looking at least a year before you have a paperback copy. So, basically that whole kind of thing there was, I got the paperback copy, but I didn't get the one that was branded the Lost World Jurassic Park paper copy. So,
yeah,
I've got the first trade paperback they did of that.
Still cool.
Yeah. There's some big differences, though. Obviously, the biggest difference in any of the materials is the Lost World has none of the San Diego stuff, which I thought was really incredible in the film, right? It gives it this like third act finale that kind of makes this movie crazy. But again, you're all T-Rex. So like this first movie is like big action sequences T-Rex. Second's big action sequences T-Rex downtown San Diego.
Yeah.
Which you could argue that it's just nuts the way they like foreshadow and like try to like leave the cliffhangers open for all these movies. So the end of the Lost World, they show all the dinosaurs like living happily on the island. Like you see the pterodactyls kind of flying around a little bit, and you're like, okay, we haven't really seen those in the movie yet. They're just kind of happily flying around at the end.
Yeah. Fortnite guy says, I think it would be really cool if they did the book 1-to-1 as a movie. I think at this point, I'd like to see it as like a TV series. Do me like a 8-episode series, the first
Yeah.
book, and another 8 episodes for the second book, and then call it quits.
Yeah, I want a 2-season series where it follows the book to the T. So like the first book picks up with all of the engine stuff, like picking up and starting here in Costa Rica before you even know there's an island. Like there's this whole investigation going on. You meet all these scientists and doctors that are
So I'm saying it could be really
investigating the
good.
Tompi bites. Yeah, and make it very dark and make it very violent because Jurassic Park's beloved because of that. But like, right, things about the first Jurassic Park movie that still piss me off when I watch it to this day. They killed Muldoon. Fuck that. Muldoon lives in the book and fucking Hammond dies.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, fuck Hammond, fucking capitalist asshole.
Yeah. Spared no expense.
And but Richard Attenborough, like, really brought him to life as this charming, wealthy, but ignorant kind of a man. Or
Right.
I don't even say ignorant, but wealthy, but
good intentioned, but not actually good intention. He thinks he has good intentions, but his intentions are not. He's convinced himself they are good intentions, though.
He legit thinks he has good intentions, and he has a kind demeanor and spirit there. But you also see, like,
Ian Malcolm says it best when he says, "You have all the power and of whatever, and you wield it like a kid who just found his father's gun."
Yeah, exactly. And so that's the downside to that. Is in the first book, like Hammond's really the villain.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that's left out of that first book is like after that power goes out or after the tropical storm rolls through, like there are people that didn't leave on the boat that are there to like help restore power and restore fencing and put dinosaurs back in paddocks and stuff there. So
yeah,
which makes it kind of crazy. And then there's a lot of daylight sequences too. And then another scene from the first book that winds up in the Lost World movie is there's a juvenile T-Rex in the first book. And, you know, obviously in the movie, you just have the adult T-Rex. Well, in the second movie, they have the T-Rex try to like lick him through the waterfall and eat him. And that's a sequence from the first book.
Yeah.
So like there's all these things here that have been translated to the movie in one way or another or lifted and reused later on because they're looking for a good sequence. Because really, had they done everything in that first book in that movie, the first movie, it would have been hours and hours long.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I wonder if people that haven't read it wonder about, in the first book, you know, instead of a stegosaurus, or it's a stegosaurus, not a triceratops that's sick, that they go and visit. And they say that that stegosaurus is picking up gravel rocks in its mouth, and it has like some extra stomach or part of its digestive tract where it uses these rocks to help and digest and to grind stuff up. And that's why they don't find it in the dino shit, because it regurgitates those rocks once the rocks have become too smooth, hence the every 6 weeks. But they never elaborate on that in the movie. So you're just left wondering, like, they take this whole sequence and make it this whole big thing, but they never give you the explanation to why the Triceratops is sick. Not that most people even care at that point, but like that's a pretty significant part of that book, is showing how intelligent Ellie Sattler is at figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
Because she finds the smooth rock there after the fact. So,
off the top of your head, what's your favorite top from all 3 movies? Top 3 kills or deaths?
I
can already think of 2 of mine for sure. Number 1, the best one in all of the movies, I think, is going to be Eddie Carr.
Oh, getting ripped in half.
Yeah, but also because he saves all those motherfuckers beforehand. He goes out like a boss. That's one of the best characters in all the franchises. Underrated as hell. I mean, I think among super fans, people love Eddie Carr, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. The average viewer doesn't know how much of a badass he is, especially the book version of him.
Yeah.
And in the book, the Jurassic Park, the Lost World Jurassic Park doesn't have Ian Malcolm's daughter in the book.
Yeah.
It's 2 other kids that are like research assistants at the school, like that they're working at. One of them's named Arby. I forget the other kid's name, but I'm just like, Arby, I always remember his name because he's like a fast food joint.
Arby and Wendy.
Yeah, I mean, probably something like that, Noah. But
And then I would say Dennis Nedry is number 2 for me.
okay, yeah.
And probably number 3 is going to be Cooper, probably, from Jurassic Park 3. That's
Okay.
Cooper!
Yeah.
And then the fucking plane ticket. You know I can't stop this plane. The motherfucker
Yeah.
gets like picked up and his blood gets all over the windshield. But it's like unclear if it's because he was partially hit by the propeller or if his blood's there from getting attacked by the monster. It's like a crazy. I like that one.
Yeah. No, that's pretty awesome.
What do you got for me?
So when I think of these, because we have some very subtle deaths and we have some very intense deaths.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my favorite death from the first movie is De Niro just fucking getting eaten right off that toilet.
Yeah.
Because, like, you're literally fucking vulnerable there, and he fucking abandoned those kids, and, like, fuck that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, love seeing him get fucking just picked up and chewed up on. Like, that is legit fucking terrifying. You know, that's a scary fucking kill.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that's, I would say, is underrated, the most underrated kill, is the beginning of Jurassic Park by the raptor.
Yoshi.
The construction worker that gets fucking mauled and killed.
Which one? At the beginning?
The construction. Yeah.
What's that guy's name? He has an actual name because it's the same name as his actor. And I read it about him. He was a professional like baseball player before that, and he started to be a stuntman. But yeah, that's a pretty good one too. That's always terrifying. The first kill in Jurassic Park.
And that's a very big part of the book that like they'd really just kind of skim through, right? They're like, okay, we need this sequence, but it doesn't tell you about like everyone trying to figure out what the fuck these attacks are. Like there's this doctor and she's basically saying, hey, like there's all this saliva on this, like we don't know what this is. You know, they're trying to figure out what attacked him. And the guy's like, oh no, it was a piece of construction equipment that killed him. And she's like, there's no dirt ground into the wounds or anything. Like it's very medical driven explanation. Now, Michael Crichton was a resident and a doctor in addition to being an author. And so like he had very well researched shit when he came to discussing these things. So
yeah,
the fact that he wrote about that, okay, like this cut didn't have any dirt into it. So she knew they were lying and knew they were covering something up. So, but again, like in the movie, like they just show you this guy getting attacked and how dangerous this park is, but we don't understand like why, because there's just not enough time to explain all this shit and have like you build this mystery.
Yeah.
Plus with the movie trailers, you know exactly what you're getting. So it's impossible to like try to figure some of this stuff out.
Well, yeah. I think one of my favorite scenes in the movie is that scene where Ian Malcolm is eventually pushing back on Hammond shit. And everybody, he's like, the only one I've got is my blood-sucking lawyer. Everything that happens in that scene is pretty great. And as a kid, it kind of, you don't pay attention to those scenes as much just because it's fucking just talking. And you're like, I don't give a shit. There's no goddamn dinosaurs. Fuck off.
The other thing about that sequence is they're showing off the jungle raft cruise, which is like supposed to be one of the big attractions there, which they kind of show off in, you know, the Jurassic World sequel and everything else. And in, what was the animated series? Is that called Chaos Theory?
It was Camp Cretaceous, and then they did a sequel to that. I can't remember what that sequel's called.
Okay, maybe that was it. Okay, that sounds right, yeah. Which that show is way underrated for Jurassic World content, Jurassic Park content. I would say that series is better than anything in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
Other death, though, from that first trilogy, man, Cooper's death is really good. I'm trying to think of deaths in Jurassic World.
See, Jurassic Park 3, the problem with Jurassic Park 3 is I don't know. It's like, what, those Cooper, the other dude from the plane, the other dude from the plane.
Yeah.
It's like no deaths. I guess the uncle, or the not the uncle, the fucking new husband or whatever, boyfriend, whoever that guy was.
Appears as a skeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you know, Sam Jackson's death. Just happens off screen. It's pretty, you know, not going to be ranking at my top.
In Jurassic, well, let's see. In the Lost World, I would say
Go ahead.
The Lost World, my favorite death has to be, man.
Another good one is the raptor that pounces on the fifth or the sixth, I think, engine hunter when they're all getting taken down in that field.
Yeah.
He just turns around and screams, and the raptor like pounces on him, and you kind of get that view of the raptor, and then you see it pounce on. It's pretty cool. But
yeah, the raptors in there, man. Like, they always do such a good job showing a ton of the raptors in these movies, but, like, you know, in the third movie, they don't kill anybody, right? Yeah. They're just after their eggs.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, okay, you're showing the intelligence of these creatures there. Like, the design looks great, and they're a little bit different, but underutilized, because at that point, they're just not as scary. If they're not going to kill anybody, like, what makes a raptor terrifying is the fact that they can brutally attack you, and they're your size.
Mm-hmm.
So...
yeah, I think the Lost World has the most the most deaths in it, if I'm thinking about it. Because like the first one has like 6, the second one has like 18. I think I counted because I ranked them all. Maybe it's more like, and I mean 5 of those are just those engine hunters, like all in the same kind of group. But and then there's like 2 of the boat crew when they arrive. That's also counted in there. You know, when they see the hand on the steering wheel, which I like that gag.
Yeah, I thought that was good. Right, that's a callback to, hey, Mr. Arnold. His arm in there, like just a good arm sight gag death. That's good.
Andrew says the raptors in the third broke that dude's neck from the plane.
Oh,
that's true. I remember that.
Yeah, okay.
That is a good scene, actually. I like that, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did use him as bait. That was great, because Taya Leone's character almost fucking gets eaten from that when she's dangling from the tree. Okay, that's a good call.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the first one's the best. Second one's the second best. Third is a little bit weaker. And I think they just continued to get literally a step down weaker as they went on. And so I'm hoping this one is better than all of the other Jurassic World movies, but at the same time, my expectations are at exactly 0, so I might like it.
Yeah. I'm not expecting much from this, and the thing I'm the most excited for has already basically been spoiled. Like the river raft sequence from the first book is all over the toys. Like, the toys have a river raft version coming out, like a river raft playset where you get a raft and a T-Rex packed in. We've seen the T-Rex swimming underwater and like describing how crocodile or alligator like it is, so it's terrifying, and like we've seen that in the trailer. So I hope that's not the best part of this movie that they've already spoiled for us, right? Which it feels like it's one of those things in this movie that is.
Yeah.
Like, just leaning on it, looking at it right now. Now, that said, I'm still excited to go see a giant dinosaur movie. So is it going to be something that's good and like carries on? I don't know, because I saw Jurassic World Dominion once in theaters. I have not revisited the movie since.
Me neither. I actually kind of think I want to, because there's a couple scenes I remember liking. I remember actually really liking the, what is that fucking dinosaur they introduced in that one? I can't even remember the title.
The Metrodon with the sail on its back downstairs.
Not that one.
Okay.
The other one, the big one that fights the T-Rex with the claws and shit.
Yeah.
What's that one called? Was it Therinosaurus or something like that?
That actually show looking more bird-like. Kind of being feathered there, yeah.
Yeah, Therizinosaurus.
It's so fascinating. The other gripe I have with Jurassic Park 3, and keep in mind that I really like this original trilogy, but they're going back to Isla Sorna, and the look and feel of Isla Sorna just feels drastically different than it does in the Lost World. And to me, that throws me off, because I feel like some of the set design should have been revisited and reused for some of those campsites where the scientists would have been staying when they're like growing these dinosaurs. Right. So in the third one, the raptors are kind of all around, but they're like they would have been all over by that pterodactyl area, because that would have been right by the campsite from the second one where the raptors had set up by the tall grass. And so the third one, at least by the writing standard, I felt like just didn't really follow the island structure correctly.
Huh.
So that annoys the piss out of me still watching it, but it's fun. You know what I mean? It's just like, as a huge fan of the books, it's those details that they get wrong that are like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
But completely different writers for this one. So, and then they got Ellie Sattler to come back, and she's just kind of like this extended cameo, right? Because we see her at the beginning and then we see her at the end, and really that's all they do is introduce her so that when he needs to make that phone call, he can. And they introduce her husband as someone that works, basically has clout and has like power. You know, there's like strictly dialogue that sets that up for them to call Ellie, and she has her husband send in the reinforcements because he's like, I don't know, a senator or something, or somebody in politics. And you're like, okay, it's very intentional.
Yeah.
But as much as I wanted to like Dominion, I just I just haven't been able to rewatch it, even with having some of the original characters go back in there, right?
That's what made me so excited for it originally.
I know,
I think
like
that's
hearing
why I
that
was
in
so
the
let
trailers.
down.
Yes, it was. I mean, clearly the expectations were overdone there, but yeah, I haven't been able to rewatch that yet. And I'm debating, like, do I rewatch the sequel trilogy? Because I still quite enjoy Jurassic World. It's a fun movie. And I do like being able to see that the park is a functioning, operating thing. Like, to me, that's kind of fun. But then by the second one, they're like, okay, now we're back to another secret hidden area where we've got dinosaurs and cloning and shit going on. I'm like, it almost feels like the Resident Evil fucking series and movies in some way, because there's always something else. Like, there's always more conveniently, like, oh, we burn this bridge, and then there's more story we got to tell. So then we got to conjure up some other shit.
Yeah.
And it feels so lazy and uninspired at times, but it's also a huge cash cow. So,
Well, that's what I'm worried
I
about with
get it.
this new movie is like, look at this. Oh, we have another mutant dinosaur thing. And look, it's even uglier.
Yeah.
It looks less like a dinosaur. And we're like,
Yeah, it looks like a fucking whale.
what am I looking at?
Yeah,
Like,
Andrew Bayless says he loves the score for Jurassic World, and I do too. Like, to me, that score is better than Jurassic Park 3. And arguably, you know, I would rate these movies in order of release. To me, it's a pretty easy one. 1,
Same.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
yeah. I think the jumps between 1 and 2 it's not that crazy. 1 is definitely
No.
better and it's more enjoyable. The jump between 2 and 3 is a little bit bigger, I would say, but not that much.
Mm-hmm.
I still like 3, and then from 3 to World, it jumps down quite a bit for me, but not like I can still watch Jurassic World, and I actually consider that's like my December Jurassic movie because it starts on Christmas. It takes place during Christmas.
Oh, Christmas break, yeah.
That's a Christmas movie.
Yes, it is. Fallen Kingdom, I haven't really watched so much because, like, okay, we're going to destroy the island, and the island blows up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's how the fucking first book ended. The Costa Rican government goes and bombs the fucking island and destroys everything on it. That's why for the second book, they had to create Site B, which they never explain in The Lost World.
Yeah.
Or in Jurassic World, for that matter, because Jurassic World is set up on Isla Nublar again. It's not on Isla Sorna, so it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, there's all these continuity errors that are like, if you guys stop to like make this make sense on paper, you guys are just fucking lazy phoning it in. Like, do you understand the source material you're working with? Right? I mean, seriously, it's not that difficult, because in The Lost World, it is implied that they bombed the island like they did in the book. They don't outright speak to that, but it's implied that there's nothing left of that other island. That's why Site B is so important. That's why they're going to go get the dinosaurs from it. Yeah. And then Biosyn, right? Biosyn's this huge antagonist in the first 2 books, And Biosyn doesn't even make an appearance in because Dodson has a huge role in the book for the Lost World. Doesn't even show up in there because they basically make Hammond's nephew this asshole character. Now he's a good enough villain in there,
But also, have you seen the fucking comics?
from the 90s.
Like, no, well, I don't know what comic series. I think it's actually a more recent one. But they retconned his death.
Really?
And made it so he looked like all scarred and disfigured, and now he's like pulling strings and doing all this weird shit behind the scenes. And I'm like, have you watched that movie? That guy's a moron. He just has money. He's an actual moron.
Yeah. One of the greatest things Jurassic World did when it came out was they had a very fucking like viral marketing standpoint, and they had this whole website that showed like the Maserati Corporation, and so you could go like browse this whole fake website that was very elaborate about like what their investments were and like how they owned Jurassic World and came to own that and everything else, like basically as a venture capitalist that buys the park.
Yeah.
Because he loves dinosaurs. And that was very interesting. And, so they've done some really good stuff with these movies, but they've also done some like head scratchers. So, what's your favorite dinosaur in the series?
Specific, are you asking me Triceratops or like this specific Triceratops?
Oh no, just like your favorite species we see in the film series.
That's hard to say. I mean, I'd have to give you like a top 5 or something, which would be probably pretty obvious answers, like Tyrannosaurus, Raptor. Like the Tyrannosaurus in the first movie is just very iconic. It's just unbeatable. It's like the fucking shark in Jaws, bro. Like that movie doesn't exist without that thing. And then I also like the Dilophosaurus, even though it's not how Dilophosaurs actually are. I love that added feature. Like, that's so fucking iconic and cool. And, like, I'm always going to wish Dilophosaurus actually existed that way and was that creature.
Yeah. Now, that was the one thing in Dominion that I did like, was they had the Dilophosaurus back in there.
But Chris Pratt just killed one by, like, breaking its neck.
Yeah.
If you remember that was bullshit. That guy's dead. No. He's dead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you see those things and then...
Yeah. I don't even know if it was actually a neck break, but like I remember he like just killed it with his fucking bare hands, basically, and I'm like, nah.
And I'm not talking about predators, but like I think for me in the Lost World when they finally showed the Stegosaurus, I really thought that was fucking cool because like they had a pretty big role in the first book, and when they didn't make it into the first movie, I was like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, I always liked Triceratops, so naturally the Triceratops in the first movie is awesome. I do wish we got to see him walk around and do some shit more, but like it's still awesome seeing awesome animatronic.
Yeah, because the compies also play a huge role in the first Jurassic Park book, and they don't even appear until the Lost World. So like little chicken-sized dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And they basically they're basically the fucking scavengers, rats of the island that basically just clean up after the bigger dinosaurs, which makes sense.
For sure.
But I mean, I get it. You're trying to tell a linear story and do it in a very set amount of time. So to be able to just show these dinosaurs off for fun in the background when this is very expensive and groundbreaking technology to have all these dinosaurs shown on camera, it makes sense that they had to narrow it down. Because like when you think about what do you actually see in the first movie? You see the Brachiosaur, then you see the T-Rex, we see the Raptor, Dilophosaur, and the Gallimimus.
Triceratops.
Yeah, so 6 species, including Triceratops.
And I guess you... Shit, is there something? I feel like there's something else, but yeah. I think that's about it.
Yeah, because the Gallimimus is like the one sequence that we see.
Well, the second one, you had a bunch more introduced. So
yeah,
obviously like
so many.
Friar Tuck.
So in the second one, they introduced Pachycephalosaurus, which has like the hard head. Basically, Robert Backer's explaining like how it stiffens the neck with the head muscle, and, like pounds into the truck.
That's what I'm talking about. Friar Tuck is what he says. He's trying to describe it to him.
Yeah. So they've got that. They've got the copy that they introduce.
They got the what is it? Pterosaur? I don't know what it's called. Is that what?
The pterodactyl, and they have a smaller pterodactyl within that
Not
too.
that. It's the one that has like the long slick back head.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of shit. I don't even know.
Yeah, because they have some of them that are just like one-offs in the campsite when they're all captured.
Yeah.
So. But I do love how they've added more dinosaurs as they've gone on with each of these.
Okay, I found an image. It is the Parasaurolophus. Parasaurolophus.
Okay.
He has the little thing on his head. There was a Triceratops, the Pachycephalosaurus, Stegosaurus, Velociraptor, Pteranodon.
Yeah.
Gallimimus copies. Yeah, that's okay. And then what about 3?
The other thing, so in Jurassic Park 3, I think the worst visual scene, and it's not the entire sequence, but there's just moments with the Spinosaur versus the T-Rex where it looks like shit. It just does not look amazing.
Yeah.
But they never also explain like that at the end of the Lost World, there's a bull, a female, and that young Tyrannosaurus Rex. So like that's a pretty small island to have 3 predators that size on there, which they don't really talk about. And then all of a sudden the Spinosaurus is going around. And so maybe it finally kills off the 3rd T-Rex and the other 2 have died off screen. But to me, like seeing 3 T-Rexes versus the Spinosaurus would have been pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something they would do now, but back then it was like, how do we even get this fight sequence on screen as it was?
You also have the Ceratosaurus. I don't know how to pronounce these motherfucking names. And the Ankylosaurus in Jurassic Park 3.
Oh, yeah, they do have the Ankylosaurus, yeah.
By the time you're in Jurassic World, they introduced a fuck ton, man. Let's see here. Yeah, the Gigantosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, bunch of them. The Allosaurus finally made an appearance. Carnotaurus as well, which is cool. Eventually, Baryonyx.
Yeah,
the Quetzalcoatlus, which is another flying one. Dimetrodon, which was sick just because it was in the action figure line for the original. So,
yeah.
Pyroraptor, which was in the last one too.
Yeah. Now, the one that they don't show in the movies, which they really show in the movies, is they basically determined that the velociraptors themselves are way too big for what real velociraptor skeletons are, and they're actually closer to Utah raptors.
Come here, honey.
Which to me is fascinating that they never went back and corrected that or added anything in there. So.
Yeah. I think the Jurassic, the series had a lot of good references to the movies and dinosaurs. Like the Spinosaurus came back. I think the Allosaurus or the other horned one, the other one that looks like it's horned. Fuck, that's not Allosaurus. Doesn't even have that. I don't know. There's too many goddamn dinosaurs, dude. I don't know. I'm not a dinosaur expert. There's people out there that know and can pronounce all them motherfuckers. That's just not me.
Yeah, no, I get you.
What's the one I'm thinking of? It's the Carnotaurus as well. Yeah.
What's nuts though, and it's nuts, but it's not nuts, is how many more dinosaurs made it to the toy line, but didn't really make it anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like in the movies. Like they made a Utah raptor for the toy line by Kenner, but no one else has made one yet.
That's interesting.
Yeah, let me look it up here. Utah raptor. Because I remember they had for some of the toys, I think they had a deluxe Sound, yeah, Utah Raptor. Okay, JP Toys. There's a whole website, jptoys.com. Yeah, Utah Raptor, electronic Utah Raptor.
Huh.
So,
Yeah, I remember the battle damage dinosaurs and stuff too. Those are cool.
and then the 2 T-Rexes they released for the Lost Road were awesome because they had different paint schemes, and I think they're a little bit different size, but they could swallow the figures and had a little slot in their belly, so you could like have the T-Rex eat the characters and then pull them out of their belly. Fuck yeah, like
Hell
that
yeah.
is legit. In world, that's beautiful toy making right there.
Yeah.
And I feel like Mattel's done a pretty decent job with the line for the what is it 3.75-inch figure line.
Yeah, I mean they've fucked around with that a little bit.
Well, yeah, because they had and I sold all mine off because they pissed me off because I'm like, I'm not going to have an incomplete toy line, which was the Hammonds. Was that the Hammond? No, the Hammond's what they replaced that with. The Amber collection was like the 7-inch highly detailed figures that looked like something NECA would have done. And then they didn't.
They did what
do
they
shit
should have
with
done
that
from the
line.
original, which was combine those two toy lines and do high quality 3.75 ones. Because what they were doing was shitty ass paint jobs where they look derpy as hell, and then doing like the high quality Amber collection ones. That's like, hey, you know what? I've already been buying these other ones. I'm not buying these fucking Amber collection because they didn't hardly put out any goddamn dinosaurs for that collection while it came out anyway. Only small ones.
No.
And then it was like, you know, do you want this expensive ass fucking like $70 Velociraptor? Like, no.
Yeah, and then when they did the Hammond series, where they're basically like, okay, we're going to take this small scale figure line and give it good paint jobs.
Yeah.
Like those look legit. Like I've got a decent amount of those just, randomly from clearance and stuff. My favorite set of that Mattel's done isn't any of the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives because I sold all that stuff off too, like just narrowing the collection down.
I have those. I have the Arnold one still, and
I sold that one and the Nedry one I had, man. It was just like I didn't have a great spot to display it. And then that was when I was like, okay, are they going to continue the full-size Amber collection or where are they going with it? And then I was so pissed off and fragmented at that point. I'm like, I don't want to collect any of this shit. So what I have now, the kids have.
well, I bought that the Explorer that they released with the T-Rex.
Yeah, no, that's a legit good-looking set.
And then I found a couple months later another one of those same Explorers from that set at Goodwill for like $3. And I was like, okay, I need 2 of these. There's 2 in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect for the recreating the Rex scene if I ever get around to that. Need to do a diorama for that. That'd be pretty easy.
One of the favorite sets that I got, though, is the Raptor in the metal box for putting it into the Raptor cage. Like they made a toy set of that came with like this really awesome detailed figure, and then it's just got a couple of the workers that came with like battle gear and everything on it. Like, and I got that on clearance, and that's a really fucking cool set. So the fact that Mattel did some of these awesome sets is good, but then they started trying to like. Then they started trying to do all the Kenner stuff, man.
Well, yeah, before they started doing that, I was still buying it. I like bought the Roland Tembo one that came with him in the little Jeep with the car that comes out the side and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you had like a version of that they released back in the day too, that you painted like a fucking Ecto 1 at one point.
Yeah, I did. I hand painted that thing and made it like a Ghostbusters car for Extreme Ghostbusters figures.
Which is sick because it had the gunner seat.
Yeah, I was basically foreshadowing what was going to happen later on because I made that toy with the gunner seat for catching ghosts. Like when I saw that toy, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some fun stuff. I just stopped at one point though, but I wanted to get into that, but I just have not been buying as many toys recently. I'm back into physical media, so I'm selective. I still buy occasionally. Like I'm buying the Ecto Glow stuff for sure, but
yeah, and like the Jurassic Park stuff, anything I've gotten in the last couple of years has just been for the kids.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's so tough to like want to go out there and do that because the other thing with Mattel, man, is like it's just T-Rex after T-Rex after T-Rex, and I'm like, those are big, bulky fucking toys, and I don't need 80 of them fucking lying around every time I want like a new car that comes with something. Like just fucking sell me the car for half the price.
Right.
But you're trying to get in there for somebody that might not have a full collection yet, which I'm like, half these toys aren't even going to kids anymore, especially when you look at the accessory size, like a 3.75-inch action figure with small guns and accessories and things like that. Like, no fucking kid's going to be able to keep any of that shit. It's all going to just fucking be lost.
That's how it was.
Yeah, exactly. Still is that way, but
Yeah.
they're even smaller, yeah. That first trilogy is so much fun though, man. Like I got a kick out of watching these kind of back to back to back.
Yeah, they're good.
Like Alan Grant is Alan Grant, like through and through. I love how he's the same from 1 to 3. Ian Malcolm goes through a lot because he had severe PTSD from fucking like almost dying. He almost bled out, and
I will
the
always
movie-
argue that his character changed because of that. Yeah, he went through
Yes.
something traumatic, and probably in his day-to-day life, he probably acts more like the other Ian Malcolm. But he also is like, in that situation, he's not going to be acting chill at all, bro. He's going to be losing his shit like he is.
Yeah, the only thing that they kind of missed the mark on in the screenplay there and in the movie is like that he's pretty fucking like limited in his mobility after he fucking recovers, right? They make that pretty clear in the book that he's still going after Sarah Harding despite like having these injuries, so he's not as fucking mobile as he once was. Yet in the movie he gets around just fine. So I'm just like, okay. I mean, the story is much more compelling for him if he has a hard time getting around. Now later on he does get a little bit hurt, like kind of later in the film, so they're kind of walking around with him and showing him limping a little bit and stuff, but in theory, he would have had that like nerve damage and shit at the beginning of the movie, not just after he like tripped in the fucking grass somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, Grant's accent changed during the last film. You're right. Yeah, because in that first one, he's really throwing on that American accent because he's from New Zealand. And then I think he probably played enough American characters by then that he just kind of had a set American accent that he would go to for that, right? I could see that. Very interesting. Good point.
Yeah, I've only saw it once, so I can't even recall at this point because it's been since it was in the theaters. But
yeah,
I like him as an actor though. I need to. I was just looking at Event Horizon on 4K today, and I'm thinking,
Event Horizon is like where I really started to appreciate him as an actor because like okay, easy to be the fun dinosaur guy in those movies, but in Event Horizon, he's fucking truly terrifying. Like the end of that movie when I was young was just fucking scary as all get out. Like he just rips his eyes out and he's like psychotic.
Yeah, dude, I love that. There's like only like a 10-second scene of like what can only be described as a blood orgy in space. And it's just like, I want to see that movie expanded right there. It was disturbing as hell.
Some really weird shit.
I love it. But he's also in a movie called Dead Calm that I watched one time with Mom. If you've never seen it, it's him and Billy Zane. And who portrays that? I feel bad because I don't know. I can't remember. Is it Nicole Kidman? Yeah, it is. Okay. Dead Calm, starring Nicole Kidman, Sam Neill, and Billy Zane. But basically, Sam Neill and Nicole Kidman are a couple on a boat, and they lost their son recently, and they're spending some time isolated at sea when they come across a stranger who has abandoned a sinking ship, Billy Zane, but then he basically like has Sam Neill get off the boat to help him with something on his boat, and then he basically just leaves him there and kidnaps his wife. He's like a creepy villain in it. So it's basically Sam Neill trying to get back to his wife in the middle of the ocean. Very interesting movie, though, considering the cast.
Yeah, no, for sure. I get that. Let's see here. Have you been watching all the trailers and TV spots for Rebirth?
Andrew Bayless says he thinks it's an Aussie film. Yeah, very well. Yeah, just actually, let me see here. Production. George Miller is a producer, so that's... And it was shot over a 6-month span in Queensland's Whitsunday Islands, or White Sunday Islands? I don't know. It could be any of them.
Nice.
Very cool. Directed by Philip Noyce. What was that? There's an Australian movie I watched. I mean, I've obviously seen plenty of them, but it's interesting when you think about a movie being Australian, just because they're not all super obvious. Like, nobody, like, not nobody, but there are people in America who I don't think realize the Mad Max movies are Australian and stuff. I don't know. The movie I'm thinking of was just super weird. Avant-garde movie.
Yeah.
But it starred... What's that guy's name? He's in some Wes Anderson movies.
Oh, really? Okay.
Shit. He's in the movie Submarine, I think.
Okay.
So, I gotta find this now. Submarine movie, which I believe was like produced by Ben Stiller.
Nice.
Noah Taylor. Is that who I'm thinking of? It is. He's an Australia actor. He was in The Nostradamus Kid. Weird fucking movie. Swear to God.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The film is about the religious and sexual coming of age of a 1950s and 60s Seventh-day Adventist boy. It says he's a randy young man who is told the world is about to end. In a race against time, there's only one goal he wants to accomplish, betting the love of his life, who just happens to be the local pastor's daughter. Very bizarre movie, though. I had a ex-girlfriend 10 years ago that liked to show me some weird shit, and that was one of them. And I never watched it since, but it was burned in my skull because he had later appeared in he's in shit, the good Life Aquatic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited for Rebirth, but I'm also very skeptical of this shit, man. Like, it's is it going to be any good? I don't even know if it can be good at this point, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I have zero expectations, so we'll see. I might end up having a good time with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll enjoy the dinosaurs and the action sequences, but is the story actually worth telling? So, I mean, because when I think about it, they say Dominion cost $265 million to make.
I'm showing you this picture that Andrew Bayless just sent me.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Of him with that actor I was just telling you about.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, he seems like a cool dude. I've never seen Game of Thrones. It's just one of those ones that I've never watched. I've never watched a full episode, let's say. I've seen clips, obviously, but...
Yeah, I watched that whole series. It's an interesting one, though, man. That first season is a little weird. And as far as some of the incest shit that they show early on, to me, I was like, I don't want to fucking watch this. And
yeah.
It took me a few times before people at work no, man, you got to get through the first half, the first season. And once you get through that, it starts getting a little bit better. I'm like, okay. And so by the third time I think I started, I stuck with it. And then I kind of watched it through until the end of the series was,
Yeah.
So. It was pretty good. Yeah, I just hope they have a ton of gore in this movie. I feel like the last couple Jurassic Park movies just haven't had that. They've had a lot of off-screen deaths or anything, but there hasn't really been anything scary in it.
There's been scary deaths all throughout, even the first three, but I don't think that they're even particularly gruesome. The most gruesome death I can think of is seeing Eddie Carr torn in half. But even then, it's not there's a bunch of red blood on screen. It's dark. It's they cut away and,
it's very intentional. Yeah, to keep the ratings on there. But
I want to see a graphic portrayal of how Dennis Nedry's killed in the book on screen.
Yeah.
That truly make me sick to my stomach type shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's really all I want is them to remake the books detail for detail, make them a couple of series. 8 or 10 episodes each, right?
Yeah.
But, maybe at some point in time we'll do that. Because to me, at this point in time, like they're still making about, we need like the synopsis for this one is that they need to go get some of this genetic material to like save humanity or something. And I'm like,
yeah,
already fucking bored. Already bored with that concept on paper. Like, don't care. Like, I live with humanity. I don't necessarily know if we're worth all that fucking trouble.
Yeah, probably not.
So, and then like there's another hidden island here. I'm like, okay, how many of these islands do they have? Like, really? Come on now.
Yeah.
It's one of these things.
Yeah, I'm just not I'm not even mildly excited for it, so I'm gonna see it. But
yeah, it's gonna be seeing it out of necessity, and hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah,
that's all I can hope for. And if it's not great, we'll see. But the last one still made fucking $1 billion after a $265 million budget. They said that was one of the most expensive films ever made, and it still made $1 billion, and it was fucking trifling garbage about locusts. Like, really? You made Jurassic Locust?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Ethan said he just got here. What's the hottest take for the Jurassic franchise? I mean, they should have stopped after 3.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, literally, it's just not even realistic. I feel like, for the park to have been opened, like fucking United Nations would shut this shit down. I feel like, and I feel like that's part of the battle throughout the other movies. But like, I feel like that would have happened previously already. Like, as soon as the first Jurassic Park happened, there would have been some shit going down. And especially after you brought them back to the mainland and there was a T-Rex that literally was eating people on a street, there would have been like laws introduced for this kind of shit that would have prevented Jurassic World from ever happening. For sure, I feel like. It's just ridiculous.
The only... okay, so I like Jurassic World, the movie, okay enough. It's fun. There's some fun, like, member berries and things in there that I like. I like seeing the island operational. But let me put it this way. Out of anything that's come out since Jurassic Park 3, the best was the short film, The Battle at Big Rock, or whatever the hell they called that one.
Yeah.
It's a 15-minute movie, and that's the best thing they've done in the franchise since 3. And the fact that the movie had nothing to fucking do with that whole concept that they showed off, and I'm like, okay, this kind of picks up on the concept of dinosaurs loose, which they tease at the end of Jurassic Park 3 because they've got flying dinosaurs, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure if they're like modern birds, they're just going to fucking fly to the mainland and terrorize you. So that's not a problem by the time Jurassic World is a movie is another like fucking head scratcher.
Yeah.
Like, and I know they don't want you to think in terms of like reality here. They want you to suspend disbelief, but I'm like, I can do that. But when the writing is that fucking lazy, it's really, really difficult to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did that at each of the end of the movies, right? The only one that gets it right is the first one where they see the bird flying and they're like, oh, okay, we see how they evolved. Yeah. We're getting away from it. But the second one shows all the dinosaurs thriving on the island, including the flying ones that could just fly away. Yeah. The third movie ends the same way. Dinosaurs just flying around. They got out of the pterodactyl cage that was on the island.
Well, that's the thing. Dinosaurs keep getting out. And what we wanted was like, I don't know.
Pure, utter fucking chaos of like people trying to integrate dinosaurs, like
the Rise of the Planet of the Apes trilogy, but with dinosaurs. That's what we wanted.
Fuck. I mean, yeah, really.
Where dinosaurs start to take over and society starts to collapse because it can't fucking handle it. Not because they're so intelligent, but like it becomes such a nuisance that shit's just fucked.
Yeah,
and you'd
but
have to
even if
jump
you-
forward in time quite a bit for that to actually happen. But like, still, I don't give a shit. Be more interesting than what we got.
Yeah, and then I think of the discarded Jurassic Park 4 concept from the 90s, or I guess early 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Ethan, yeah, that short film was the best thing they did, man. Like that thing is so good to watch. And it's like at a campsite, a national park. It's terrifying. And I'm like, you set this thing up perfectly. And then for the fourth movie, or the sixth movie, they're like, yeah, well, we've got another park set up, but it's in Europe. And it's all contained and everything. And I'm like, okay, you had a unique concept here of like, what is it like when these animals are loose in North America or worldwide? And like, what kind of havoc are they causing?
Yeah.
Like, you can't go outside and your kids can't play in the neighborhood because there might be fucking velociraptors out there.
Or a
Like,
pterodactyl might just scoop a motherfucker up.
Yeah, like you can't watch. You know how terrified would you be to let your kids or your pets outside? That's an interesting movie concept.
Yeah, how does the world have to adapt to that shit? Essentially.
Yeah, and these are like wild animals, so like, yeah, sure, you might think the military can just go take them out, but not necessarily, right? They're animals, so yeah, there's lots of things there that were just missed opportunities. Now that said, this is all silly fucking movies, so they're fun.
Right. Well, again, you could introduce, like in the Rise of Planet of the Apes movies, just say that one of these genetic labs also has some virus that kills off half humanity, and we're just left with a certain amount of people. Like, I don't give a shit. Be fucking real stereotypical with it. Still would have been better.
Yeah. Well, like that, if you've ever seen the concept art that leaked for the Jurassic Park 4 after 3 came out, where like they're human dinosaur hybrids, right? Where they're trying to like make killing soldiers and stuff. I'm like, at the time when I first heard that, I'm like, that sounds so fucking dumb, but it's better than them being like, another island, another park, doing the same thing over and over. Yeah, I hope there's some real scary shit in this new movie. I mean, that's what it really needs. Scary, scary stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fallen Kingdom like was just like felt like fucking dinosaur Resident Evil in a not a good way. Like if you're gonna do that,
it's like I felt emotionally and manipulated basically with that movie because I just felt like they were trying to make me sad with the killing of these dinosaurs because it does make me sad to see dinosaurs die. But I'm like,
yeah,
that's
like
all
that's like
I'm seeing, and it's I don't know. That movie sucks.
It's like a PETA movie for dinosaurs, and you're like,
I hate the ending too, where it's like this fucking mansion they're trying to auction off dinosaurs as military weapons and shit. I'm like, dude, fuck all the way off with this shit.
That movie wanted to be a Dino Crisis movie, but they didn't fucking pull it off.
Yeah.
And to me, like that is a concept that would be fresh. Like do Dino Crisis, do Carnosaur based on that book, which basically Crichton ripped off the concept and fucking wrote it better. But there's just so many unique things you can do here that would be more interesting than revisiting the same concepts over and over and over.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Like I said, I've seen Dominion once in theaters and haven't seen it since. I don't think I'm going to rewatch it again either.
Yeah, we'll see. I might try to watch it just so I can do... I don't think I can do individual reviews of these last 3 on this channel because I think I would just drive me nuts. But I might, because what I try to do is avoid giving negative reviews on this channel just because I don't like talking about stuff I don't like. So if I don't like a movie, I'm not going to like go out of my way to watch it and then talk about it again. Now, if I see it for the first time and don't like it, that's something else.
Yeah.
But like, am I going to go back and watch a movie I don't like just to review it and say I don't like it? I don't know. I don't think that's very productive for me. I don't think I give enough of a shit. So I might like watch them all and talk about and just do one video. Kind of like, I don't know, this.
Highlight reel. Yeah. My favorite things about the Jurassic Park or the Jurassic World sequel trilogy is these things.
And because it's like a 30-second video. That'd be funny as hell.
There's some glimmers of good stuff in there. And each of them have some decent concepts, like, right, the dinosaurs that they add and everything like that. There's some good stuff in there, but it's just underutilized.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I feel like now they're just scraping the barrel for like, okay, what did we not use from the first What do we not use from the books that we can throw into the movies now?
Yeah.
But I'm also half tempted to say, because I never did finish the animated series on Netflix. I'm halfway tempted to say, fuck rewatching the sequel trilogy and just going through and watching all of the animated series.
Yeah. I didn't actually finish it either. I've seen like the first 3 seasons, I want to say.
Yeah, I didn't ever see when they went to Isla Sorna, Site B.
I think they have a 4th season, and then it time jumps and they're adults, or like it's been a few years.
Yeah.
Because they take place simultaneously during the first movie, second, and I don't know, by the Dominion might be the second series or whatever, or like I don't know how it fits in timeline-wise. I'd have to look into it, but
yeah,
there are references like the chaos that happens at the end of Jurassic World. You get to see it from the kids' perspective in that show, like because they're there at a camp. So it's actually, honestly, pretty cool. Makes Jurassic World better, actually.
That would be my thing, is if I watch this hand in hand with this, if I rewatch them and I watch that at the same time with them kind of going along by story-wise, will that enhance the experience?
Right.
Or will that just make me like the animated series that much more? I'm not sure. But I think that's probably the route I'm going to go, because we still got a couple of weeks before the new one comes out. So,
yeah. Well, it's there. It's on Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So, now the toys are fun though, man. Like I already want that stupid river raft toy set. I'm like, that looks fucking cool. Like that's the kind of bathtub toy I want as a kid, or a toy set you take and play in the fucking pool in the backyard as a kid. Like, come on now. This isn't, you're speaking my language here.
100%.
I do like that. And I do like being more excited for a toy line than the movie itself sometimes. I think that's pretty cool. But at this point, they've got to do new stuff, because it's just all repaints of the same 30 dinosaurs they've made now.
Yeah. Although I do have... Fuck, I can't even remember the dinosaur's name now. But there's that Ankylosaurus from the first movie, or the first season. It's a main character, sort of.
Yeah, I got one of that for the kids. And what's his name?
Bumpy.
Bumpy, yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah. I got, like, that's one of the few... I don't know if I have a blue or not, but I have a Bumpy. Like, that's a dinosaur with a name that I have, is Bumpy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I do have something from the show, which is cool. Yeah, they have some other... You could get the characters released from the show, too, which is pretty sick. I think it would have been a good move to include characters from that show in the new movie also, but...
Yeah, because I honestly thought that they would possibly integrate some of those characters into Dominion.
Yeah, me too.
Because they'd say, okay, we got a character, you have a developed character that you can relate to and enjoy. And the fact that they didn't utilize that was just like, come on, man, you got to have a brand synergy to do this stuff. Like, it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
Now, I granted, like, you don't want to have to like have everything in the animated series necessarily be matched continuity or considered in universe and all that, that can be very convoluted when you get to that stuff. Like, look at the Star Wars expanded universe and how they fucked all that up,
But if it's just like one kind of side-along story, then it doesn't complicate things too much. I don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I think we beat the fuck out of the dead horse here, man. We've gone over this and over this, but...
Hi, Pancake. Sorry, we're about to literally call it for the night.
Shit, yeah.
Hopefully... I don't know, maybe just go back and rewatch it. I don't know if it'd be as entertaining without chatting with us, but we'll be back next week, probably talking 28 years later is what it looks like.
That's our game plan as of right now, yeah.
Things could always change because we have busy lives, but...
Final thoughts on Jurassic Park, though, or read the books if you haven't, and if you're looking for a free version of the audiobook, check out the Internet Archive.
Pro tip, the Brachiosaurus has the deepest throat of the dinosaur kingdom. Pro tip.
I think you have made videos of that, I think, before.
Yeah.
Pretty sure
I've proved that fact.
Yeah, well, thanks to everyone for tuning in and watching. Appreciate all the conversation. Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, Andrew. And thanks, Pancake. And I think there may have been somebody else we had in there. But yeah, appreciate appreciate everyone tuning in and engaging us here. And we'll see you back at it next week for 28 years later, which means I got to watch the first two again before this weekend.
Yeah, I'll be filming my review of the DVD release of the first one because I don't think you need to own it on anything other than DVD because it was shot on cameras that didn't have HD.
Yeah.
Except for the ending, which is a 35 millimeter scene. But anyway.
All right. Take care. We'll see you next week.
See you later.